A street-side mugging took place in downtown Beaufort, sending a man to the hospital. The water sports complex approved by the Redevelopment Commission is moving on to the next phase. And if you're thinking about starting a business, we've got some tips you won't want to miss. All that and much more. Keep watching Beaufort. Your news starts now. Thanks for joining us for the Beaufort News. I'm Jessa Jeremiah, and here are your local headlines. 2 men are responsible for a street-side mugging and beating recently in downtown Beaufort. A man was robbed of his wallet, including his cash, when he went with 2 strangers on Bay Street at the Beaufort Downtown Marina. The man originally was with his friends and then left them for a reason that is still being determined. Friends of the victim took him to the Beaufort Memorial Hospital that same evening. Police are currently stating that they do believe this is an isolated incident. The plans for a water sports complex that was approved last fall are moving on to the next phase. The City of Beaufort's Redevelopment Commission is beginning their search for a developer for the project that is planned to be built on the downtown marina parking lot. After testing the eclectic mix of elements that makes up the soil under the potential building site, it was determined that construction in this area is possible. The next step for the City of Beaufort will be to wait for developers to bring forward their plans for this important space. Many Beaufort County residents will begin noticing rate increases that will be taking effect soon on local cable and internet bills. Notifications have gone out to Hargray and Time Warner customers stating these increases and will even affect Comcast and DirecTV customers. Price increases will range from $5 a month to a percentage depending on your service carrier. The price increase is due to rising costs, the need for faster internet speeds, and increased data usage. The new prices will not affect those who are currently signed up for their promotional bundles. Voting for Coastal Living's happiest seaside town has officially closed this week. Beaufort was one of 10 cities chosen as the magazine's best places to live among some of the greatest cities along the coast. Coastal Living magazine has shut down the indicator showing which town is leading. To find out if Beaufort won, we're going to have to wait until the magazine's April edition. Beaufort was in the lead when the indicator closed. Our local college held a successful job fair last week with a list of several impressive employers for area residents to meet. Job seekers from all over attended the Technical College of the Lowcountry Job Fair put on by the Job Fair Committee. The event featured local companies such as Beaufort Memorial Hospital, UPS, and even Walmart. The fair helped locals find jobs by providing a place to meet and talk about opportunities with participating companies. The school even provided free transportation. A Beaufort resident wins a prestigious state award for volunteer services recently. The South Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault announced that Yahira Bennett-Smith is their Volunteer of the Year for her work with CODA. CODA, or the Citizens Opposed to Domestic Abuse, has praised Bennett-Smith for her work as an ambassador between the group and Spanish-speaking communities. Bennett-Smith says she's happy to help an area where this type of collaboration is so important. Automatic spending cuts is causing one of the favorite performers to opt out of the Beaufort Air Show this year. The Blue Angels say they will not be a part of the air display put on by the Marine Corps Air Station. The air show, which brings a lot of business to the Beaufort area, will be impacted by the change in this year's lineup. Although many will be disappointed, officials say they do have a great show to put on. You can catch the Beaufort Air Show from April 26th through April 28th. A Citizen's Guide to Beaufort County's reassessment is now available online for interested citizens. The 2013 guide is an easy-to-read guide on property taxes, forecast changes in the market, and assessed values with maps and frequently asked questions. The guide even includes a reassessment notice example and an option of hearing the overview of the guide. If you'd like a copy of the guide or if you want to listen to the interactive option, you can get the information by logging on to bcgov.net. South Carolina residents are urged to be on the lookout for cases of rabid animals. Several cases of rabid animals have been reported since October, including one just a few days ago in Irmo, South Carolina. Irmo's police chief is warning residents to look for signs such as wild animals acting tame and tame animals acting wild. If you'd like more information, the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control offers information about rabies on their website. Visit scdhec.gov. And those are your headlines. If you'd like additional information, you can reference the media sources you see listed on your screen. Also, you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. When we return, we'll tell you what's hot off the press in Beaufort, and the Beaufort Regional Chamber brings us our business report, so stick around.
Low Country Real Estate is located in historic downtown Beaufort, home to one of the most attractive real estate markets in America. We've been providing high-quality service to our community for the past 24 years. Whether you're interested in buying or selling residential, resort, or commercial investment property, our professional sales staff can help you with your real estate needs. Please visit lowcountryrealestate.com for details on all available properties in Beaufort, and come see how the Low Country becomes you.
Welcome back to the Beaufort News. Joining me first is Pamela Brownstein, who is here to give us our hot off the press report. How are you doing, Pamela?
I'm doing well, thanks, Jessa.
Great. I want to ask you about the 1st Congressional District seat. What can you tell us about the race so far?
Well, ever since Governor Nikki Haley appointed Tim Scott to replace Senator Jim DeMint, the race for Scott's 1st Congressional District seat has been off and running, with 16 Republican candidates filing for the special election. And with such high-profile faces such as former Governor Mark Sanford and Stephen Colbert's sister, Elizabeth Colbert Bush, as the Democratic candidate, the race has garnered national attention.
And when can voters go to the polls for the primary election?
The Republican primary will be held Tuesday, March 19th, and with 16 contenders, it's fairly certain that there will be a runoff election, which will be held April 2nd.
And Pamela, we talked about this a bit up front, but talk to us about the winner of the South Carolina Volunteer of the Year Award, if you would.
Oh, sure. The South Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault has named Beaufort resident Yaharia Bennett Smith South Carolina's Volunteer of the Year for her outstanding service and dedication to CODA and for victims against domestic violence.
And speaking of volunteers, what other volunteers do you feel are needed right here in Beaufort County?
Well, all of the branches of the Beaufort County Library System are seeking volunteers to provide assistance, one-on-one employment assistance for fellow residents, and they would be helping them with online job applications and updating their resumes and cover letters. So for those interested, they should contact the reference desk at their local library.
All right, sounds good. And the Island News has a favorites contest coming up as well. Tell us about this if you would.
Sure. The annual Island News Favorite Contest is an opportunity for the community to vote for their favorite businesses and organizations, and with more than 120 categories. So that include everything from favorite restaurant to favorite hairdresser.
All right, and real quick, when's the last day that we can vote for that?
The last day is Thursday, March 14th, so go to www.yourislandnews to make your voice heard.
All right, we'll do just that. Thank you so much, Pamela Brownstein with Island News, for our hot off the press report. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Joining me now is Jaime Dailey-Vergara with the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce, who is here to bring us our business report. Welcome, Jaime.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on today. Now, Jaime, there's a lot of talk these days about the sequestration and the impact it will have on this community. What can you tell us about this?
Well, as we all know, our military bases are crucial to this community, not only from a national defense standpoint, but also it pumps about $1.5 billion into our local economy each year, which is huge. And the Chamber's Military Enhancement Committee has been working with our consulting firm in Washington, D.C. to kind of better understand the impacts of sequestration and what that could mean to our community. Now, while sequestration has really been getting a lot of the headlines, one of the big concerns right now is the continuing resolution, which expires on March 27th. And the Military Enhancement Committee has been watching that to see what will happen, and has been keeping their eye on that.
And what about any protection of our bases?
Well, the state right now is taking a big stand to protect all of our military installations throughout this state. This week, the South Carolina Military Base Task Force will be making a stop all over South Carolina to our 4 military communities, and we'll be distributing $200,000. Now here in Beaufort, they will be handing out $50,000 to our Military Enhancement Committee to help protect our bases, which is huge and really shows that the state is taking a big interest in protecting our local bases.
Absolutely, it sure does. And let's talk about the Beaufort Air Show for just a minute. There's lots of concern actually about the future of this upcoming show. What are your thoughts?
Well, as we've all been hearing, sequestration could have a big impact on the Beaufort Air Show and, this coming year. And of course, that does have many people in this community very concerned. Not only does the air show provide great entertainment, but it's a big part of this community. And really, it brings a lot. Every year, over 100,000 people come to the Beaufort Air Show. So it's a big part of this community.
Absolutely. Well, Jaime Dailey-Vergara with the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce, great information for us, so thanks for your report. Coming up, we'll tell you how support groups are helping local families suffering with Alzheimer's disease, and Jamie Wolf is here with some can't-miss tips on starting a business after the break.
Hi, my name is Matt McElhaney, owner of City Loft Hotel, an upscale boutique hotel in downtown Beaufort. We are proud to be consistently ranked as the #1 hotel in Beaufort based on TripAdvisor's guest ratings and comments. At City Loft, we value our neighbors in the Lowcountry. Whether you're taking friends by boat or need a romantic getaway in Beaufort, let us at City Loft extend hospitality while introducing what's new in urban hotel design. At City Loft Hotel, we are committed to customer service. When you stay here, you're always a local.
Welcome back to the Beaufort News. Joining me now is Arlene Hull, who's here with us from the Alzheimer's Family Services of Greater Beaufort. Welcome, Arlene.
Good morning, Jessa. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here today. Now, Arlene, we've heard a lot of talk lately about Alzheimer's disease. Tell us about your agency and what you do.
Our agency is a small local nonprofit agency, and we provide education, support, and respite to caregivers of persons with Alzheimer's disease here in our community. We do that through our Maintain Your Brain program, our support groups, our social day program, our in-home respite program, and several other various educational programs as well.
Okay, now that sounds like a lot of much needed support for caregivers. So how long has your agency been providing these services?
We're proud to say this year is our 25th year of providing these services to caregivers in our community.
So Arlene, what would you say is the most important service that you offer to caregivers of people with Alzheimer's disease?
I would say that of all the services we offer, and they're all vitally important to a caregiver, but I think the #1 most important is our support groups, which we do offer too. We have an all-family-oriented support group, and then we have an all-men's support group too. But it's through this support group that caregivers learn that they're not alone in the struggle of being a caregiver for their family members. They learn the importance of asking for help. They learn the very, very important need of maintaining their own health and taking care of themselves as well.
And you mentioned that there's a separate support group for men. I'm sure there's a good reason, but why do you offer a different group for just men?
Yeah, we noticed that men would come to the support group and they would listen, and they probably would take a lot back with them, but they wouldn't open up and talk. We found that they were uncomfortable talking about the issues they face being caregivers for their wives or even their mothers. So we opened an all-men support group where they could have a comfort zone there.
And how would someone go about taking advantage of a group like that or any of these other services that you offer?
A simple phone call, Jessa. A phone call to our office prompts us to go out to the home of the caregiver, meet with them, hopefully meet with the Alzheimer's patient as well, discuss their needs and see where they might fit in the programs that we do offer.
All right, Arlene Hull, well, we appreciate all that you do, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Joining us now is Jamie Wolf, who's here with Jamie Wolf LLC, and she's here to talk to us about things to consider when starting a business. So, Jamie, we're excited to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Now, first, I would love for you to talk to us about the difference between technical skills for starting a business and having the right mindset and behaviors to be successful in business. So tell us about this.
It's a really important point, and let me give you an analogy to make it easier. When the young recruits show up at Paris Island The drill instructors don't jump immediately to teaching technical skills. They really focus on the mindsets and behaviors. They want to instill that honor, courage, and commitment. And so they work with the young recruits over and over and over so that they can adapt and overcome and improvise. Those are the mindsets that they need and the behaviors before they can teach the technical skills. And it's much the same in business. People often like to jump right to the things they can get their hands on and they can do and gain a sense of mastery with it, but it gives a false sense of security right up to the minute you fail if you don't have the right mindsets and behaviors.
Absolutely. And in your opinion, what are the 5 most important behaviors for success in business or any endeavor for that matter?
That's a great question. It's easy to get diluted because the answer is quite simple, but it's not easy things to master. So you really need to be able to make decisions and take action and fail frequently, but listen intently and develop yourself. And fail frequently sounds a little funny, but you think about our employee culture where you go into a new business and they say, oh, here, we'd like new ideas. Why don't you try something? And as soon as you do and you fail, you don't really get rewarded with that. So our culture doesn't usually embrace failure, but you learn so much from it, and that's when you start listening and then you develop yourself further.
Absolutely. And now I want to talk a little bit about the economy real quick. People often think that in today's current economy, it's a bad idea to start a new business. What are your thoughts?
I think it's the best time to start a new business. When you're very comfortable, you don't really have any incentive to start something new, which is where you grow and embrace change. But in this economy, excuse me, in this economy, if you can jump right in, necessity is the mother of invention, and history has shown over and over that great fortunes have been made in times of economic downturn.
All right, Jaime of Jaime Wolf LLC, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate your input.
Thanks very much for having me. I appreciate it.
After the break, Councilman Joe Lee talks to us about what's making news in Port Royal, and Mark Shaffer takes us on location to see what's out and about in Beaufort. That's next.
Is it time to purchase for the one-of-a-kind person in your life? Over 60 years of service distinguishes Modern Jewelers as one of South Carolina's preeminent jewelry stores.
We're proud to have been voted Beaufort's #1 jewelry store 10 years in a row. Come visit us at 807 Bay Street.
Welcome back to the Beaufort News. I have with me now Councilman Joe Lee here for our Port Royal report. Welcome, Joe.
How are you, Jessa?
I'm great, thank you. Now, Joe, we hear there's some news about the seafood industry in Port Royal. What can you tell us about this?
Well, we're pretty excited. We have a company that's interested in leasing our shrimp docks and the building that consists of our retail store and some storage space. And what this group wants to do is harvest jellyfish offshore off of Beaufort County. And there's a huge market for these jellyfish, and currently they're doing this down in Georgia, but they feel that the market and the source of jellyfish here in Beaufort County is a much better business venture. So what they do, it's a 2-stage process. They contract with shrimpers. The jellyfish season is opposite of the shrimp season, so these shrimp boats are just sitting here. So they re-rig them to catch jellyfish, bring the jellyfish in and shuck them. These are cannonball jellyfish, so they're large jellyfish. They remove the jelly and then ship what they call the cap and the ball. From Port Royal, they would be shipped up to Gardens Corner. Up at Gardens Corner, they would be put through a process that basically pickles them. And once they're pickled, then they're preserved, and they can ship them then to the markets up in the Northeast. The numbers they talk about are huge in terms of the volume of business they want to do. There would be about 25 employees in Port Royal at the dock, and another 100 and so employees at Gardens Corner doing the processing. So it's a huge operation for us. There are a lot of hurdles that have to be jumped over before we can get started, but we're optimistic that in the next couple of months we might be in the jellyfish business.
All right, well, very interesting stuff. And just real quick, tell us about this new business opening in Port Royal.
Yes, Jessa, there's the Port Royal Music Academy. We'll have a grand opening on March the 22nd. They will have from 5 to 9. It's a music school. It's located adjacent to the Port Royal Elementary School. The public is invited, and we're looking forward to having an academy there that can teach all the music instruments.
All right. Well, Joe Lee, thank you so much for a great Port Royal report. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jessa.
Now let's join Mark Shaffer, who's on location. He's going to tell us what to expect out and about in Beaufort this week. Mark?
Thanks a lot. Well, the annual Beaufort Twilight Run and Oyster Roast returns to Habersham Saturday, March 23rd. In its 5th year, the event looks to attract more than 2,000 people from around the Lowcountry and even several states. That makes it the largest family-friendly running festival of its kind in the region. Now, race day is capped off with an evening of fun featuring live music by the Brewer Band and a traditional Lowcountry oyster roast. Now, to celebrate the event's 5th anniversary, the BTR is introducing the Beaufort Challenge. They'll run the 5K and the 8K back-to-back, and the lowest combined times wins cash awards. Also, the 8K winners will also run down some cash, including the top 3 male and female overall, Masters overall, active duty military, and hometown hero. That goes to a Beaufort County resident. Now, for details about the race, registration, oyster roast tickets, and more, visit BeaufortTwilightRun.com. Discounts are available for active duty military. Now, the highly anticipated 3rd novel in Ken Berger's trilogy of South Carolina stories has just been released by Evening Post Books. Now, Pat Conroy says, quote, "Nobody picks at the scabs of South Carolina like our native son, Ken Berger," which should give you some idea of what's in store with his latest Salkehatchie soup. Berger's tale of the Adger family continues from cushy California golf resorts to a one-hole course in the middle of nowhere. Along the way, we're caught up in the politics, crime, and intrigue of Miami, Manhattan, and Washington, D.C. An award-winning former columnist for the Charleston Post and Courier, Berger will be in Beaufort to talk about Salkehatchie soup, along with Baptized in Sweet Tea, a compilation of his best columns, on Wednesday, March the 20th. That happens from 1 to 3 p.m. at the downtown branch of the Beaufort County Library, 311 Scott Street. For more information, call 255-6543. Now, the sensational Canadian duo Dalla comes to the Fripp Friends of Music stage with a vibrant acoustic performance. Dalla's Sheila and Amanda are darlings of the Canadian music scene, winning the country's Folk Music Award for the Vocal Group of the Year in 2010. They've released 5 albums and toured all over North America, and they'll wrap up the 29th Fripp Friends of Music season with a unique concert combining folk classics with their own original songs. They're influenced by the Beatles, Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, Bob Dylan. Dalla consistently turns first-time listeners into lifelong fans with their lush harmonies. And you can catch them on Fripp Island Sunday, March 24th at 5 p.m. For ticket information, call 843-838-6655. Pick up a copy of Lowcountry Weekly and get what's out and about. And back to you.
Thanks, Mark, for another great report, and thank you for watching. I'm Jessa Jeremiah. Join us next time for your Beaufort News.